What happens when a network cancels a show that fans just refuse to let die? You get fan campaigns so creative, so bold, and so relentless that the people in charge have no choice but to pay attention. These aren't just a few angry emails or an online petition with a couple hundred signatures. We're talking about symbolic, brilliantly organized fan movements that became the stuff of legend. Because sometimes a show is more than just a show, it's a community. And when executives try to shut it down, fans decide to fight for their own ending. So in this video, we're breaking down the wildest fan campaigns that brought beloved sci-fi shows back from the brink. The campaign that taught fandom how to fight. One of the earliest and most famous successful Save Our Show campaigns begins, fittingly, in the final frontier with Star Trek: The Original Series. As the show's second season was airing in late 1967, rumors of its cancellation started swirling. In response, two devoted fans, Bijo and John Trimble, launched a grassroots campaign to save the Starship Enterprise. With a blessing from the show's creator, Gene Roddenberry, they kicked off a letter-writing campaign on a scale that television had never seen. What happened next was historic. A flood of letters buried the NBC mailroom. While the exact number of letters is still debated, estimates range from tens of thousands to over 100,000. And the campaign didn't stop there. Caltech students and other local supporters even protested outside NBC's Burbank studios. And this fan effort was something the network just couldn't ignore. NBC gave in to the pressure and renewed Star Trek for a third season. But there was a catch. The network shoved it into the dreaded Friday night death slot and cut the budget. It was a move designed for the show to fail, and after season 3, it was canceled for good. But the fans had made their point. That fan-demanded third season gave the show just enough episodes to qualify for syndication. And it was those reruns that made Star Trek explode in popularity, turning it into a cultural phenomenon. The fans may have lost the battle, but their passion ensured Star Trek would win the war. And this playbook was copied decades later by fans of Quantum Leap. After NBC moved the show from its successful Wednesday slot to Friday nights, fans bombarded the network with letters. NBC eventually moved it back to Wednesdays, the ratings jumped, and the series secured another season.
You know what I have to say to the fans of Quantum Leap? You win.
By popular demand, Quantum Leap leaps back home to Wednesday on NBC.
The Tabasco Offensive. If the Star Trek and Quantum Leap campaigns were about overwhelming the mailroom, the next generation of fan protests got a lot more inventive. In the age of guerrilla marketing, fans started pairing traditional tactics of letter writing with sending networks physical objects perfectly tied to the shows they loved. And one of the most famous examples of this is Roswell. The late 90s show about angsty teenage aliens in New Mexico had a loyal fan base, but by the end of its first season, it was on the verge of cancellation. To get noticed, fans knew they needed a clever hook. So they leaned into one of the show's most memorable details, the aliens' love of hot sauce. Over 6,000 bottles of Tabasco sauce showed up at the WB's offices, sending a spicy, undeniable message. The stunt worked. The show was renewed for a second season. And when Roswell was in danger once more after season 2, fans did it all over again, this time sending roughly 12,000 bottles to UPN, convincing them to pick the show up for a third and final season. The nuttiest renewal ever. If you thought sending Tabasco sauce was spicy, the campaign to save Jericho was pure logistical madness. Jericho was a post-apocalyptic drama about a small Kansas town after a nuclear attack. When CBS canceled it after one season in 2007, fans took inspiration from the finale, where the hero, Jake Green, defiantly replies nuts to a surrender demand. That line, a reference to a famous World War II refusal to surrender, became a rallying cry for fans. And it led to one of the weirdest campaigns ever. Through online coordination, fans sent over 20 tons of peanuts to the CBS New York offices. The stunt made national news, and fans escalated further with emails, letters, phone calls, and full-page ads in Variety and The Hollywood Reporter. This nutty protest worked. CBS ordered a 7-episode second season to wrap things up. And even critically acclaimed shows sometimes need saving. When Fringe was fighting for survival, fans organized around Walter Bishop's beloved snack Red Vines, while also lobbying Fox directly with letters, emails, and online support. The effort helped secure a final season, giving the show the closure it deserved. The banner that reached Bezos. As the time went on, fan campaigns got even more ambitious, graduating from mailrooms to the skies. That was the move for fans of The Expanse. When Sci-Fi canceled the critically acclaimed series in 2018, the fan campaign that followed was a masterclass in modern fan activism. Uniting under #SaveTheExpanse, fans organized with military precision. A petition gathered over 100,000 signatures, and even influential figures like George R.R. Martin and Patton Oswalt voiced their support. But fans didn't stop there. They decided to target a potential new home for the show, Amazon Studios, since Jeff Bezos was a known fan of the books the show is based on. So fans crowdfunded a plane to fly a huge banner reading #SaveTheExpanse over Amazon Studios for 4 hours. And they also sent a 3D printed model of the show's spaceship to the edge of space on a weather balloon. These efforts created a media frenzy, and weeks later, Jeff Bezos personally announced that Amazon was picking up the show. The Expanse then continued for 3 more seasons. Fandom that refused to run out of time. Fans of Timeless also took their fight to the air. In 2017, NBC canceled their time travel drama after only 1 season, sparking an immediate and massive backlash. Fans organized a huge social media push. And that outcry, boosted by the show finishing first in USA Today's annual Save Our Shows poll, helped convince NBC to reverse course. They renewed the show for another season just 2 days after the initial cancellation. And when NBC canceled Timeless again after season 2, fans went to work. They didn't just flood social media, they also pulled off a perfectly timed aerial stunt. Knowing the who's who of the entertainment world would be at the San Diego Comic-Con, fans raised around $20,000 to hire not 1, but 2 helicopters. One to trail a #SaveTimeless banner over the city, and another to live stream the whole thing. The stunt was impossible to ignore. And that fan passion convinced NBC to order a 2-hour finale movie so the story could get a proper ending. Too beloved to stay dead. Sometimes a show can't be saved on television, but the fan devotion is so intense that it earns a second life somewhere else. That was the story of Firefly. Joss Whedon's sci-fi western is the classic canceled too soon story. It was famously butchered by Fox in 2002, after the network aired only 11 of its 14 produced episodes, many of them out of order. Fans campaigned to save it, but while they couldn't get it back on the air, they did help create another path. Their efforts pushed Fox to release the show on DVD, and when that set arrived, fans made sure that the sales were impressive. The DVDs quickly sold more than 200,000 copies. That overwhelming commercial success helped convince Universal Studios to take a risk and greenlight Serenity, the feature film that continued the story and gave the fans the closure they were denied. A similar thing happened with Futurama. After Fox canceled it, the animated series gained a massive following through reruns on Adult Swim and extraordinary DVD sales. Recognizing the dedicated fanbase and the financial potential, Comedy Central first commissioned 4 direct-to-video movies before reviving the series for new seasons years later. And when Netflix canceled the globe-spanning series Sense8 on a cliffhanger, the fan backlash was immediate. The #SaveSense8 campaign exploded online with such passion that less than a month later, Netflix reversed course and approved a 2-hour finale movie to wrap up the story. The campaign too weird to fail. Fans of the Farscape also mobilized to get their show the ending they deserved. This cult sci-fi series was suddenly canceled in 2002, even though the writers were already planning season 5, which meant that the story ended on a brutal cliffhanger. Understandably, fans were furious and launched the Save Farscape campaign. In a huge global effort, fans wrote letters and organized online. They also sent funeral wreaths to the Sci-Fi Channel's New York offices, picketed outside the building, and even launched Brascape, where fans mailed bras to the network to show their support. According to later recollections from the show's star Ben Browder, fans called Sci-Fi Channel so much that they had to shut down their phone system for 2 weeks. And all that chaos paid off. 2 years later, a 3-hour miniseries, Farscape: The Peacekeeper Wars, was produced. It picked up right after the cliffhanger, and finally gave the epic a proper conclusion. So these historic fan campaigns are proof that sometimes, against all odds, a creative, organized, and maybe slightly unhinged fan base really can stare down a network and win. Were you part of any of these fan efforts? And are there any other wild sci-fi renewal campaigns we should have included? Let us know in the comments. If you love stories about television history, cult fandoms, and behind-the-scenes chaos, make sure to subscribe to the TV Show Pilot YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out tvshowpilot.com for articles on all your favorite shows.